Hello everyone, I am Divya, working for the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, MIT, Mysore. In our previous classes, we have studied about intra-AES routing algorithms. Under that, we have studied how we are going to make use of two protocols that we have studied, that is RIP and OSPF, how we are going to make use of those protocols in order to resolve the routing issues in the autonomous systems. Now, having understood about protocols which helps us to resolve routing problems inside an autonomous system, we need to have a facility where we can communicate between two different autonomous systems, right. So, today we are going to study about that. So, today's topic is inter-AES routing protocol. This means inter-AES routing protocol. This means we are going to study about the routing procedure or routing protocol which is going to handle the communication between two different autonomous systems, right. Under this we are going to study Border Gateway Protocol, BGP. BGP stands for Border Gateway Protocol. So, currently Border Gateway Protocol version 4, which is represented as BGP4, okay, which is represented as BGP4, is the one which is the protocol used extensively in the internet. Okay, we are going to study about BGP4 today. Okay. BGP, it provides an autonomous system a way through which it can propagate what it can propagate? It can propagate information about reachability, between autonomous systems, means between different autonomous systems, how the packet can be transmitted from one router to another router which are spread across different autonomous systems. Okay. So, it helps us to propagate the information about the reachability between autonomous systems. Now, we are done with the routing information with respect to different autonomous systems. It also helps us to propagate information about reachability within autonomous system also. Okay. Along with the reachability information across autonomous system, it also helps us to understand the information, reachability information within autonomous systems. Okay. And with the help of these two, it provides us a way to determine the best possible route, Okay. So, these are the three main functionalities that is being provided by BGP. Okay. With the help of the routing information that we have, okay, so it helps us to propagate information about the reachability between autonomous system, or to obtain okay, and then to propagate the information of reachability among the routers within the autonomous systems. With the help of reachability information which we already have, we are going to determine the best possible routes along with the AS policy, okay, autonomous system policy. Considering these two, routing information as well as AS policy, we are going to determine the best possible routes through which a particular data packet can be transmitted from source to the destination. So, these are the three main functionalities that has been provided by BGP4. Now, we will look into basics of BGP. Consider an example shown here. Here we have three autonomous systems, AS1, AS2 and AS3. Inside these autonomous system, we have routers 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 3A, 3B, 3C. Okay, we have already seen this diagram. Okay, we have three autonomous system, AS1, AS2 and AS3. Inside each of these autonomous system, we have several routers which are existing in each of autonomous system. We have also understood that there are gateway routers, right? Here, if you consider these two autonomous system, 1C acts as a gateway router and 2A acts as a gateway router, right? Similarly, we have 2B and 3A as gateway routers which help in communicating between AS2 and AS3. If you look at this diagram, we have several links that are existing between different routers, right? BGP makes use of semi-transparent TCP connection. Okay, it makes use of semi-transparent TCP links or connection between the routers in order to establish communication between routers. Okay, whether it is between two AS or within an autonomous system, BGP makes use of semi-transparent TCP links. Okay, when I say semi-transparent TCP links, it exists between each of the routers here. Okay, we call that as TCP BGP link. Okay, we call this semi-transparent TCP link as TCP BGP link. We have two kinds of link here. Okay, one is external BGP and another is internal BGP. Okay, before moving to that, when I say there exists a link between router, on both the sides we will have routers, right? If I consider this as a link, I have 1C and 2A as router. Similarly, if I consider this link into consideration, I have 2A and 2B as routers. So, the routers on both the ends of the links are called as BGP peers. We call them as BGP peers. The routers that exist on both the end of a link are called as BGP peers. These BGP peers along with the link are called as BGP session. These BGP peers makes a transmission of packet from one router to another router, right? We make a transmission of packet from one BGP peer to another BGP peer over this semi-transparent TCP BGP link. Okay, we call that as BGP sessions. Okay, we call that as BGP sessions. There are two types of BGP sessions. One is eBGP and another is iBGP. What does it exactly means? eBGP is external BGP session, I is internal BGP session. What do we mean by external BGP session? A BGP session which is established between two different autonomous systems through gateway routers, okay, through gateway routers which are called as BGP peers here, is called as external BGP session. Okay, here we have two external BGP connection in this diagram, isn't it? Here in both the case we are having a connection between two different autonomous systems through gateway routers, right? Similarly, inside an autonomous system we are having several connections which are semi-transparent TCP links between each routers, okay. These are called as internal BGP sessions, okay. We have external BGP session which helps us in handling the transmission of packets from one autonomous system to another, whereas sorry, internal BGP session helps us in handling the routing between routers inside an autonomous system, and all these semi-transparent TCP links will create a mesh kind of a structure inside an autonomous system, right. So, in BGP we call the subnet as prefix, okay. We call the subnet which are there in autonomous systems as prefix. So, each router here is going to pass prefix information, prefix reachability information, okay. What it is going to do? It is going to share prefix reachability information. Prefix reachability information. What do we mean by prefix reachability information? It means it is going to tell the other autonomous system what are all the subnets that can be reached through this particular autonomous system, okay. Take an example of this diagram. Here AS1 will pass a prefix reachability information to AS2. What does it mean? It tells AS2 that which are all the subnets that can be reached through AS1, okay. Similarly, AS2 intimates AS3 through eBGP, that is external BGP session. What it is going to intimate? It is going to intimate which are all the prefixes or subnets that can be reached if AS2 wants to send information to, okay. So, which are all the subnets that can be reached through AS3 is going to be shared by AS3, okay. So, for example, consider an example that our router 2D wants to send some data packet to the subnet which might be situated somewhere in the network. So, how it is going to communicate? AS1 will send its information, right, packet prefix reachability information to AS2 through gateway router, right. Gateway router will make use of internal BGP session, okay. It makes use of internal BGP session and broadcast or informs or transmits the information that it has received from AS1 about the prefix reachability, okay, to all the routers which are present in the network inside the autonomous system. So, 2D will have a complete information about how it can reach the subnet X which might be present somewhere in the network, okay, whether it can pass through AS1 or whether it can pass through AS3. Sometimes we will have a situation where that particular subnet X can be reached both through AS1 and through AS3. So, from both AS1 and AS3 we will have reachability, prefix reachability information propagated to AS2, right. AS3 propagates its prefix reachability information through 2B, whereas AS1 do it through 2A. Both 2A and 2B, they propagate that information to all the routers, that is 2D and 2C and many more routers which might be present in AS2, okay. And all the routers will have a knowledge of how it can be propagated to reach subnet X, which is there in some other autonomous system across the network. Okay. Having a knowledge of that prefix reachability information along with some other attributes which we are going to study further, 2D makes a decision as which path it has to take in order to reach the subnet X, okay, through optimum path. Okay. So, that decision is going to be made by 2D with the help of all this BGP session as well as prefix reachability information. Okay. Knowing all these things, the basics of BGP, we will move on to the next topic, that is path and path attributes and BGP routes. Okay. Now, having a knowledge of basics of BGP, that is external BGP session and internal BGP session, why do we call it as prefix reachability information, all those things, we move on to the next title or next topic, that is path. Okay. BGP path attributes. What do we mean by BGP path attributes? Okay. And the routes and BGP routes. What do we mean by this? When I say I am forwarding a packet from one autonomous system to another autonomous system, it will be passed through various routers, right. So, this entire thing is called as path, isn't it? Yes or no? So, this is path. BGP, when BGP peer at the source, means at first autonomous system, sends its prefix reachability information to other routers that are present in several autonomous systems. Along with the prefix reachability information, it also passes its number, AS number. So, with respect to BGP, each autonomous system that are present in the network will have a globally unique number. This is very important. The number which is given to autonomous systems are globally unique, and we call that as autonomous system number. Okay. Whenever a source node sends its prefix reachability information, along with prefix reachability information, it sends several other attributes as well as autonomous system number in order to identify from which autonomous system it has originated. Okay. Which are the properties or which are the attributes that we are going to have? There are several attributes which are going to be attached along with the prefix information. Two major attributes among them is AS path and one more is next hop. Okay. These are the two attributes, BGP path attributes, that are going to be attached prominently or importantly along with several other attributes in a prefix reachability information which is sent from a source to destination routers. Okay. What do we mean by AS path? As I already told you, when it starts from AS1, if AS1 is considered as the autonomous system number that is being assigned to that particular autonomous system, if a data packet originated at AS1, okay, that will be included in AS path initially. As and when each it passes through various autonomous system. For example, my data packet which is originated from AS1 need to be delivered to some autonomous system in the network which is having AS number 4. Okay. In between it will pass through several autonomous systems. Okay. From AS1 it has to pass through various autonomous system, right. What do we get with respect to AS path? As and when that particular data packet crosses or passes through this autonomous system, ASN of that particular autonomous system is going to be added for this attribute. So, when a packet originates at AS1, AS1 will be the value that is stored for AS path attribute. When it reaches AS2, AS2 is added here. Similarly, when it passes to AS3, AS3 is added. When it reaches AS4, AS4 is added. So, this becomes our path, okay, AS path. Why do we make use of this, or how this can be utilized? Whenever a packet reaches a particular router in any among these autonomous system, okay, that router checks the AS path, whether that packet has the number, AS number of that particular autonomous system. If it is already present, that packet discards the packet which it has received. That we are going to study going further when we study about broadcast and multicast. Okay. So, in that concept we will know the importance or prominence of having this AS path attribute along with the prefix reachability information. Okay. That is one attribute. The next attribute, very important attribute, is next hop. When we say a packet has reached a particular autonomous system inside which we have a destination, okay, we have a router, destination router, which is located at some autonomous system. In such case, packet moves from one autonomous system to another autonomous system, but from that inside that autonomous system we need to propagate it to the respective router, right. We have already discussed the boiling potato mechanism, right. In case of boiling potato mechanism, what do? We make use of the nearest next hop router in order to determine from which route I need to go to the destination, right. I will show you with an example here. Consider an example. I have one AS autonomous system here and I have one more autonomous system here. AS1 is having 2 or more routers. For the ease of understanding, I have marked it with 2. Okay. Now, I have routers like this. Okay. Now, I have 2 peer links, right. I have 2 peer links. In order to have communication between autonomous system 1 and autonomous system 2, between AS1 and AS2, have 2 peer links or 2 paths or 2 BGP sessions through which we can contact. When this particular link is considered 1A and 2A acts as BGP peers, whereas this link is considered 1B and 2B are acting as BGP peers, right. Now, my router 2D want to send some information to the router which might be present somewhere here in AS1. Okay. In that case, it has to make a decision through which routing gateway router I can forward my packets. Since I have 2 paths, I have this path as well as this path. Now, based on which criteria 2D is going to decide to which path I need to send it to. In such scenario or in such condition, it makes use of next hop attribute. Okay. In next hop attribute, it stores the next router that is going to be traversed in order to pass the packet. Okay. With the help of next hop, it determines that 2A is the nearest gateway router that he had compared to this link. Okay. Compared to these 2 paths, 2A is the nearest gateway router that I have. So, I will forward my path to this from 2D and then making use of this path or this link to pass the information to 1C. So, in such case we make use of next hop attribute. So, we have two important attributes along with various other attributes which are passed along with the prefix reachability information from a source to destination. Which are those two attributes? One is AS path and another is next hop. Okay? We have seen how it is being utilized. So, when I say a path, as I already told you, when a packet moves from one autonomous system to another system, we will have path like this, right. Each autonomous system is going to add its autonomous system number to AS path. This constitutes the BGP route from one router to another router across the autonomous systems. So, this is about BGP path attributes and BGP routes. Having an understanding of these attributes, paths, routes, BGP sessions, BGP peers, all these things. Now, we will be having several paths between two autonomous systems, right. If you consider this example itself, for 2D we have this path as well as this path in order to send information to 1C, which is located in autonomous system 1, right. Similarly, when we consider a network in a broader perspective, we will be having several paths. So, how the best among them will be considered, okay. We will study that now. So, the next topic of discussion is BGP route selection. As we all know, what do we mean by BGP route? BGP route is nothing but the prefix reachability information along with the attributes, BGP attributes. Okay. This constitutes BGP route as we have already discussed. Okay. The major two attributes that we are considering here is AS path and next hop. Okay. With the prefix reachability information that we have, there will be several paths between two routers which are spread across the network. We will be having several autonomous systems. My source router will be in some autonomous system and destination router will be in some other autonomous system. In such case, we will be having several paths to reach that particular destination, isn't it? So, how BGP is going to select the best path or best route among them? So, BGP route selection mechanism, this makes use of elimination method. It makes use of elimination method in order to determine the best path among the available paths between routers. Okay. The very first elimination route that it will looks into is the path with highest local preference value. What does it mean? Each path, each BGP route will be having one local preference value, okay, one local preference value. Based on that local preference value, the path or the route which has got highest local preference value will be selected among all available routes. For example, you might be having around 20 routes available between two routers. In that case, one with highest local preference value will be considered first and remaining routers will be eliminated from the list. So, out of 20 we will be having somewhere around 10 the routes with same local preference value. Okay. Then among those 10 routes, what is going to be done? Next, it is going to check the AS path. Okay. The path with the shortest AS path. path with the shortest AS path attribute is considered among the remaining routes available. Okay, the others are discarded. The one with the longest AS path attribute is rejected or eliminated. So, among 10 we might be having around 6 paths which is having AS path, shortest AS path. So, among those things, the next elimination criteria used is the next hop. So, what is the nearest next path that I am having? So, which is the nearest next hop I am having among all the paths that are available with same local preference value and same AS path, shortest AS path value. Okay. So, the nearest next hop path is going to be selected, and among 8 which we had, we might have 4 or 5 filtered. Okay. So, among those the last criteria that is used is BGP identifiers. It makes use of BGP identifiers to filter among those 5 and selects the best route among all the routes that are available between source and destination. Okay. So, this is about BGP route selection. So, under BGP we have studied the BGP basics, in which we have studied BGP sessions, external and internal, or how do we communicate between two different autonomous systems with the help of these BGP sessions, how information is going to be interchanged among them, all those things. And then we have studied major 2 attributes that is going to be considered in case of BGP, which are sent along with the prefix reachability information. And then after understanding that, we have studied about BGP route selection. Among all possible routes between 2 routers, which is the best possible route that can be selected with the help of elimination methodology used in case of BGP. The criteria used for elimination is step by step. First, the one with highest local preference value will be selected. Once it is filtered, then for the remaining set of paths with shortest AS path is considered as the next criteria to eliminate. So, the one with same local preference value as well as same shortest AS path attribute are next filtered with the help of next hop. The one with the nearest next hop is considered. Even after that, if you have more than one path, then with the help of BGP identifiers, it is going to select the best path among the remaining paths. Okay. So, this is about BGP. Actually, BGP is a very vast protocol which is in use in internet today, but for our syllabus sake, this is what we have to learn. Okay. After understanding BGP, now we will move on to the next topic, that is broadcast and multicasting of messages or data packets, how it is going to be handled. Okay. The next topic of discussion is broadcast and multicast. Before moving on to the discussion of this, first let us try to understand 3 terminologies, that is unicast, next is multicast, and then broadcast. What do we mean by this? When a source sends a packet from 8 to a single destination, then that is called as unicast. In case of unicast forwarding, a source is going to send its data packet to a single destination. Okay. In case of multicast, source is going to send a data packet to a subset of routers in the network. Routers in the network means I will be having around 10 routers in the network. my source is going to send a data packet or information packet to only 5 routers among the 10. It is not necessary to send that particular information to all the routers which are present in that particular network. So, in such case we make use of multicast forwarding. Next is broadcast. What do we mean by this? Here our source is going to send a data packet to all the routers in the network. Okay. So, this is about forwarding, unicast, multicast and broadcast. Okay. We have studied, whatever we have studied so far is with respect to unicast, where a source is going to deliver its packet to a single destination, right. Now, we will start our study about how multicast and broadcast forwarding will be done in the internet. Okay. So, we will start our discussion from broadcasting, okay, where a source is going to send its data packet to all the routers that are present in the network. Okay. In that case, if R1 is considered as a source here, considering this as a network example, okay, if R1 is my source, I want to send the data packet to all other routers that are present in the network. We are having R2, R3 and R4 in the network. So, how it can be sent? So, R1, it is very simple. The very simple approach is through unicasting. Okay. How it is? If we have n number of nodes in the network making n copies of that particular packet, if source R1 wants to send its data packet to all other routers that are present in the network. So, how many number of routers are there in the network? Make that many copies of the data packet and forward it to all the routers through unicast forwarding. How it is? I have a packet in R1 and I want to send that packet to R2, R3, R4 here. Okay. So, I will make a copy. Okay. I am making a duplication of the data packet which is originating from R1. Okay. With each packet, in each packet we are going to attach the address of other routers which are present in the network. For each packet I am going to attach the address of the destination router, okay, and I am going to send it through unicast forwarding method. So, from R1 I am going to send, how many routers we have? R2, R3, R4. So, with respect to this example, we are going to make 3 duplicate copies of the data packet and it is sent to R2, and from R2 it is going to be sent to the respective destination routers because the address is specified. With the help of address that is specified in the data packet along with the information, it is going to be routed like this. This is a very simple approach. We call this as n-way unicast forwarding. Okay? We call this as n-way unicast forwarding. This is very simple to implement. Here we need not worry about new protocol in order to broadcast the information to all the routers. We need not worry about managing all those things. Okay? But there is a problem here. What is that problem? If you observe this example, here we have a single link from R1 to R2, right? From R2 we have several paths to several routers, but all the n packets which are duplicated or which are created at the source need to pass through this link from R1 to R2, which might result in congestion or overload for this particular link, right? So, in order to avoid this, we will have one more advanced way. What is that? From R1 to R2, a single packet will be passed. Here, a single packet will be passed. Okay. Then at R2, depending on the number of routers to which it has to deliver, here we are going to make use of duplication. Okay. Instead of replicating the data packets at the source, if you have a bottleneck point like this, pass a single packet here, and then at this point a copy of the data packet is made and then it is sent through same unicast forwarding method. Okay. This is the simpler way of broadcasting the data packet from one router to many routers that are present in the network. But one more drawback of this n-way unicast method is this source need to know the address of all the routers that are present in the network. Since broadcast is nothing but sending a data packet to all the routers that are present in the network, the source router which is originating or creating that particular data packet need to have a complete information about all the routers that are present in the network, which is not realistic and it is a cumbersome task, right. So, in order to overcome this, we came out with a new technique that is called as flooding. Okay, that is called as flooding. How this flooding actually works? When a router passes a data packet from it to the routers that are present in the network, to its neighbors exactly, a neighboring router will receive a packet, it is going to make duplicate of the packet which it has received, and that duplicated copy will be transferred to its neighboring nodes. Okay? That is how it is done. I will explain you in a much detail. As I already told you, in order to avoid the drawbacks or in order to overcome the drawbacks that we were facing with the n-way unicast forwarding, we came up with a solution which is called as flooding. Okay. Under flooding, we have two things. One is uncontrolled flooding and another is controlled flooding forwarding. In case of uncontrolled flooding, a particular router, source router, okay, it creates a data packet, it appends the address of the destination and it just forwards the data packet to its neighboring nodes. Okay. It might be having several neighbors, so it just forwards whatever data packet it has created to all its neighbors. These neighboring routers, upon receiving the data packet from source router A, okay, these B, C, D, these routers simply makes a duplicate copy of the data packet which they have received and they forward that data packet to the respective neighbors. They might be having several neighbors like this, right. So, for example, if you consider this example here, upon receiving a data packet from A, it makes a duplicate copy of the data packet and it sends that packet to E, F, C, but not to A. So, while forwarding, it makes sure that it sends the copy of the data packet to all its neighbors except the route from which it has received, okay, except the link or route from which it has received, it sends the data packet to all other neighbors. Similarly, this process is continued. Here, if you observe, this is going to transmit the data packet to all available routers that are present in the network, but there is a drawback here. What is that? This creates a storm. Broadcast, we call that as broadcast storm. What do we mean by that? For example, if you observe here, B is going to transmit the copy of data packet to E and F, along with that it also sends a copy to C, but C has already received a data packet from A, right. So, it is going to send the copy of the data packet to G and H initially when it receives the data packet from A, again when it receives the data packet from B, again it makes a duplicate of that particular packet and sends to G and H. So, the same packet, data packet is duplicated several times and it is sent several times to the routers which are present in the network. So, that is leading to broadcast storm here. Okay. So, we had a problem of broadcast storm in case of uncontrolled flooding. To overcome this problem, we moved on to controlled flooding. How it can be controlled, I am going to explain it in a much detail.